Je veux pas que le monde pense que je suis quelqu'un de dangereux qui vont faire quelque chose à leurs enfants.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're looking at infamous times when people who took multiple lives were released from prison early or granted parole, even if they're not currently free to resume public life.
Do you see yourself as something of a celebrity here?
Of course.
Charles Zebr.
So our experts will be looking at accusations that you drugged, murdered and disposed of 5 victims in Thailand in 1975.
There's a lot of imagination, yeah.
Born in 1944 in modern-day Vietnam, Zebr would go on to travel the world, committing a host of felonies along the way while escaping the police. While he admitted to taking the lives of 12 people, it's speculated it could be up to 30.
Zebr was dubbed the Bikini Killer and later the Serpent.
Nicknamed the Serpent, Zebr was arrested in India in 1976. He was sentenced to 12 years, which was extended after an attempted escape. Zebr was released in 1997 and returned to France. In 2003, after returning to Nepal, he was arrested again. He was found guilty of murder and received a life sentence. In 2022, due to good behavior and advanced age, Zebr was released and deported to France.
The 78-year-old's release was ordered by the Nepalese Supreme Court on the grounds of his good behaviour, his bad health, and the fact he's served almost all of his sentence.
Arfin Nesset. The vast majority of people who work in nursing homes are good people, but there are some exceptions. Born in Trøndelag, Norway in 1936, Nesset became a trained nurse and eventually got a manager job at a nursing home. However, a host of suspicious deaths led to a police investigation. During questioning, Nesset disclosed taking dozens of lives by injecting a medication that's used to paralyze muscles during general anesthesia. He later retracted the confession. In 1983, Nesset was found guilty of taking the lives of 22 people. It's speculated it could be as many as 138. After being sentenced to a maximum of 21 years in jail, Nesset was released after 12 for good behavior, with 10 years of supervision. David McCreevy. On one Friday the 13th in 1973, Clive and Elsie Ralph returned to their home in Worcester, England. They discovered their housemate McGreevy and their 3 children were missing, and there were signs of violence. After going straight to the police, a search found the deceased children near the home. McGreevy was soon arrested attempting to leave the area.
There was only one person unaccounted for in the Ralph family household, and that was David McGreevy. The search was on, and it wasn't long before he was discovered.
Known for his temper and drinking, when he babysat the kids as Clive collected Elsie from work, his rage caused him to lash out and take their lives. After pleading guilty to multiple murders, McGreevy was sentenced to a minimum of 20 years. In 2019, after 46 years in jail, he was released.
I don't know if he's expressed remorse. I don't know if he now realizes the gravity of the offenses that he committed.
Karla Homolka.
She describes her role as both victimizer and victim.
If I didn't turn the water tap off completely, he'd hit me.
As one half of Canada's infamous Barbie and Ken killers, Homolka met Paul Bernardo in 1987 before getting married in 1991. Yet before they had their nuptials, the duo had already taken 2 lives, including Homolka's younger sister Tammy. They would then go on to murder once more, videotaping their horrible deeds. After DNA was taken from Bernardo during a series of assault cases years ago, it was re-examined during the slayings and found to match, resulting in both being arrested.
Homolka knew her future perfect husband was a perfect match for the police composite. She also knew her fiancé was obsessed with attractive teenage girls.
Due to a plea deal to testify against Bernardo, Homolka was sentenced to 12 years in 1993 and released in 2005. Once she was released, she moved around, briefly residing in the Caribbean before returning to Canada.
Carla, can I ask you a question? Do you volunteer or work at the school?
Who are you?
You know who I am.
Kenneth McDuff.
Some would say you're the poster child for what is wrong.
And are you sure talking to me bad?
In 1966, after being in and out of prison for several crimes, McDuff and Roy Dale Green spotted 3 teenagers in Texas. After kidnapping them, McDuff fatally shot Robert Brand and Mark Dunman, and then assaulted and slew Edna Sullivan. After Green confessed, the 2 were arrested. Green was sentenced to 25 years, while McDuff was set to be executed, later changed to life imprisonment. He was granted parole in 1989.
The burden was now on the prosecutors to make sure McDuff never again walked the streets streets of Central Texas.
In 1992, a co-worker of McDuff noticed the similarities between him and a suspected killer on a TV show and called the police. In 1993, McDuff was found guilty of one murder and sentenced to execution, which was enacted in 1998. It's speculated he may have taken over 14 lives.
McDuff maintained his innocence as he was led from court.
I'm sorry about what happened, but I wasn't the one who did it.
Charlene GGO. Shortly after Charlene Williams met Gerald Gallego in 1977, the two moved in together and soon began a litany of terrible crimes throughout Nevada and California. Charlene was often used to lure victims to Gerald, where he would assault and murder them. In 1980, the couple was arrested after being spotted abducting Mary Elizabeth Sowers and Craig Miller, who they went on to slay. It's believed they took the lives of 11 people altogether.
After agreeing to come to the police station for further questioning, Charlene had failed to show.
Due to a plea deal involving Charlene testifying against Gerald, she was sentenced to 16 years and 8 months, while Gerald received the death penalty. In 1997, Charlene was released from jail and has gone on to claim she was a victim of Gerald and was forced to help.
But the consequences of their deal with the devil would leave the public and victims' families outraged.
Zebr Louis Van Squaw. After working as a police officer, Van Squaw became a security guard at various businesses owned by white people in South Africa in the 1980s, a time known for the anti-apartheid movement.
Most whites seem to have guns and few inhibitions about using them.
Van Squaw used his job to fatally shoot black people, pretending they were causing crimes at the businesses when many weren't. Altogether, it's believed he shot 101 people, killing 39. In 1992, Van Squaw was convicted on 7 counts of murder and 2 attempts. He was sentenced to 20 years. However, after 12 in 2004, he was released on parole. According to reports, while he found religion, he had no remorse for what he did. Van Squaw's daughter Sabrina was convicted of ordering her mother's assassination in 2002. The Lainz Angels of Death. Through most of the 80s, investigators examining one Lainz hospital in Vienna, Austria struggled to understand the steep increase in patient demises. However, a doctor in a pub apparently heard a group of nurses bragging about their involvement and contacted the authorities. Maria Gruber, Irena Leidolf, Stefania Meyer, and Waltraud Wagner were arrested and later confessed to killing 49 patients with medicines and water. It's suspected their victim count could be over 200. In 1991, Wagner was sentenced to life, Gruber to 15 years, Leidolf to life, and Meyer to 20. In 2008, after Meyer and Gruber had already been released, Wagner and Leidolf were also free for good behavior, bringing outrage from Austrians. Arthur Shak Cross.
People on the outside do not know what evil is.
Do you know what evil is?
Sure.
In 1972, Shak Cross was arrested for fatally attacking 2 children in Watertown, New York. Due to a lack of evidence for one murder, he was convicted of manslaughter for both cases and sentenced to 25 years. In 1987, experts' warnings were ignored, and Shak Cross was released on parole. Not long after, he began earning his nickname of the Genesee River Killer for a series of murders in the Rochester area.
Yeah, then one detective asked me, if you had to do it over again, what would you do? I said, I'd put them all in one hole and you'd never find them.
In 1990, as the police investigated the area where June Cicero's body was found, Shak Cross was spotted nearby, and he was arrested. He was found guilty of 10 murders and sentenced to 250 years in jail. Altogether, he took 14 lives. Shak Cross passed away in 2008 from natural causes.
I told you how I killed, why I killed. You don't want to believe it? That's up to you.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Pedro Lopez.
Incredibly, he would later claim that he was helping his victims.
He said he strangled them so they would go to heaven, so that they wouldn't suffer in this world.
Before complaints caused the company to remove it, Lopez was awarded the Guinness World Record for most prolific serial killer with 300 victims. Known as the Monster of the Andes, Lopez killed mostly in Colombia and Ecuador. While in the latter, he was arrested while attempting to abduct a potential victim. Lopez showed the police where he hid 53 bodies and confessed to taking 110 lives in the country. In 1980, he was sentenced to Ecuador's then maximum sentence of 16 years. After his release in 1994, he was deported to Colombia, where he was arrested and sent to a mental health hospital. In 1998, Lopez was declared sane and conditionally released. However, he vanished and hasn't been caught since.
How can you let a guy live that keeps killing like this? Why would they let him live?
What other infamous serial killers who were released did we miss? Loren Herzog, Mary Bell, Nikolai Dzhumagaliev, Paul Brumfitt, or someone else? Let us know below. Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.